Probably the 30th of June. I am insanely sick. Like headache, sore throat, coughing. But I've been just slowly pushing through the day, especially because today we had payroll. Um, so I had to make sure to top up money to pay for all the employees. And yeah, slowly figuring it out. Let's go over the lessons I've written because I think a lot of these lessons will um, probably talk about what I'm currently dealing with and going through. So we're up to lesson 226. When you look at people like Iman Gadzhi, they don't do outreach. Like if he did, he'd be on like Patrick Bet David's podcast because I know he's mentioned and talked about being a Patrick Bet David fan, but he just focuses on himself and people come to him. Yeah, very, very interesting. He, yeah, can access anyone he wants all over the world, but the fact that he doesn't, and sort of people come to him, it's a very smart approach to life. Lesson 227. Only invite people to do things when they reach out to you. This is how you build a like-minded circle. Wait for when people reach out to you, and what ends up happening is only the like-minded people would be the ones reaching out to you. And all of a sudden you can go from knowing 100 people to finding the 5 people that really, really sort of vibe with you. So wait for people to reach out. Don't reach out to people. Don't invite people to things. Do things on your own and just see who reaches out. And those are going to be your like-minded circle. Lesson 228. Difference from being curious versus making someone feel seen. Making someone feel seen is letting them know how amazing they are. Whereas being curious is just sort of being curious. Yeah. I think I sort of try to do both. I try to not only be curious about others, but allow them to be seen by letting them know how amazing they are. Making someone feel seen doesn't make you curious, and being curious doesn't make other people feel seen. Lesson 229. Only by putting yourself through a period of solitude can those around you see how strong you are. Like right now, I'm sick. I'm tired. Yesterday, I worked on 5 hours of sleep and I pushed through the day. I was like feeling so down and out. The last, like the thing I wanted to do most was call a friend. But I knew that I'm putting myself through this pure solitude and calling a friend. Yes, it's good, but they're not going to see you as a strong person you are unless you're able to deal with these feelings on your own. Lesson 230. I have some friends, and these friends are people who often feel out of place with their current old group of friends. You know, they're outgrowing the old group of friends. So they feel out of place when spending time with the old friends, but they don't have the confidence to let that group go and embrace being alone for a period of time in order to rebuild a new group of like-minded people. So, for example, these people in limbo, the reason why they're not spending more time with, say, people like me or other like-minded individuals is that they're currently occupied with the old group of friends which they're unhappy with. So you can't really, only by letting people go are you able to open the door and allow new people to come in. And this limbo phase is difficult because you feel like not seen, but you're surrounded by old dear friends. And it's a difficult spot to be in. Lesson 231. I was so outwardly looking that I prided myself on knowing what people's close to me schedule was, what was going on in their life, what they had upcoming. Now that I know nothing about what's happening in other people's lives, that just shows that where all my energy is going. Like back then I was like, yeah, I was so invested. I sort of knew, I checked in and I knew what was happening in other people's life, and all my energy was going towards all these different people. And now that now I sort of know nothing, I'm able to preserve that energy. Lesson 232. If how you live your day will extrapolate to how you'll live your life, I want to make sure that each and every day is fun and fulfilling, not just wake up, grind, and have a blissful end, because that would extrapolate me working from the bulk of my 20s all the ways up to my 50s, and then having a blissful, say, 50 to 80. But let's say I want to live to 150, like same goes. And that doesn't sound too fun. So right now I want to start constantly tweaking my day to day and get it to a point where I'm just having fun throughout the whole day and it doesn't feel like a grind, but I'm still doing work. Like, for example, this is technically work, but it doesn't feel too much of a grind. Lesson 233. I had a friend out of the blue restrict me on Instagram. This threw me off. I felt down. I felt annoyed, felt lonely. I felt not liked. But that was just a trigger. Like I was already stacking up some exhaustion and sort of downness. So what I'm learning is to not confuse the trigger with the actual state of the mind you're at, or the actual state of where your mind is at. There's a good chance that the trigger was just the straw that broke the camel's back. So don't blame and be too disappointed by that little straw that broke the camel's back, but process and try to see what everything else underneath and prior to that last straw. Like, what is that? Like, where's that? Like, why is that causing you to be down? Why is that causing you to be exhausted? Um, yeah. Now I'm just trying to think back. Like, why did my body crash? Well, I haven't had much sleep. I guess I haven't had much sleep because I've been going out to the city at night for a friend's birthday. And I did that twice in the city. But then I haven't been to the city in quite some time prior to that. So I guess it's okay. Should I have slept in? Maybe. But I wanted to get some work done because I wanted to reply to some friends. So that also catalyzed me to reduce my workload. So I think, yeah, like I need to constantly keep figuring out what's causing me to crash, what's causing me to get less sleep, um, and solve that and not put too much emphasis on the fact that, say, today I had to do payroll and that was what made me sick. That was probably just like the straw that broke the camel's back. Lesson 234. Social media is so unhealthy. Like the fact that you tie your self-worth to how many followers you have, who's following you, who's not, who unfollowed you. Like it's yeah, it's so unhealthy in that sense. Where in real life, if someone doesn't like you, then they would say, quote unquote, unfollow you. You just won't hear from them. But in social media, they'll unfollow you and you can sort of see that they've unfollowed you. Obviously, Instagram doesn't make it that obvious, but you can always find out through going to their profile and finding out that they no longer follow you. And it sort of hurts your feelings. Yeah. It's basically, I guess, like if I were to self-diagnose, it's like, okay, when someone unfollows me that I know, it's like them telling me that they don't like me. That hurts my feelings because I guess as humans, we want to be liked. Yeah. So, like, I guess social media is unhealthy because it makes things more transparent. In the past, people who don't like you, they just don't spend time with you. But on social media, you can see that they don't like you because they don't follow you. So you know for a fact. Interesting. On the contrary, lesson 235, people unfollow slash mute you out of pain, insecurity, lack of self-worth. Like I've never, like the only time I have unfollowed or muted someone, and let me rephrase it. I've never unfollowed or muted someone that was boring and did unnoteworthy things. I've never unfollowed or muted someone that I didn't think was competition. So I'm at fault of this issue as well, where if there's someone that I guess I'm competitive with, or seeing them succeed somehow for whatever reason makes me feel insecure, makes me feel like I'm not doing well, there's a tendency for me to want to mute them just so those feelings of, I guess, like I don't go through it much, but like I guess if someone, like the only people I do mute are people that sort of low key don't want me to succeed. And when I'm watching them do things, I get a bit competitive because if someone hates me or someone doesn't want me or someone trying to compete against me, I'm competitive back with them. But on the contrary, if there's some other young killer that isn't trying to compete with me, I have no eager or urge to compete with them as well. So I'm usually muting or unfollowing people that are trying to compete with me or trying to prove me wrong or something. Lesson 236. If a white belt leveled up to a blue belt, but he continues to hang out with his white belt friends, he will not only feel slightly left out when hanging out with his white belt friends, but at the same time, he's keeping the door closed and make it hard for him to attract new blue belt friends. Very great metaphor. So when you grow and you level up, if you continue hanging out with your old friends, you're going to make it more difficult to attract other blue belts, attract other sort of growth-minded people. Lesson 237. By going through isolation, you're forced to be left with only, it forces you to be left with and only spend time with people who want to spend time with you. By going through isolation, not reaching out to anyone, you're only left with people who reach out to you. And the people who reach out to you are the people that want to spend time with you. So going through a period of isolation is great for filtering, but it's hard though, because you're going to find that 95% of the people that you thought were friends, you're not going to hear a word from them. Lesson 238. I've sort of push through this, but I realized that Tuesdays and Mondays were sort of like my Saturday and Sundays, where those days were just more slower, more chill. But I've sort of figured a way to sort of balance things out where on Mondays and Tuesdays, I expect it to be slower. So I work slower and I just sort of take it step by step and I build momentum later into the day. But I do find that on my Mondays and Tuesdays, I'm just much, much more less motivated, more tired, because I guess I work through Saturday and Sunday. Lesson 239. Going through this period of isolation, people only call me when they really need something. Let me rephrase it. Going through this period of isolation, I've noticed that I only get calls from people when they really need things, where I have the capacity to help. So, like, when I'm down and out and I'm exhausted, like right now, I don't get that many people reaching out to me, calling me. But when I have energy instead of energy to give, that's when get a lot of calls. It's as if the universe knows to keep me alone when I'm down and out so I can, I guess, self recover, and has a lot of people hitting me up when I have energy to spare. And I told my friend about this and he was like, huh, you're literally in sync with the universe. Two, lesson 240. I want to master being present at recovery and resting. Ooh, that's a big one. I've noticed that when I am, I guess, watching YouTube, procrastinating, going through TikTok, I'm not really present and fully taking in that rest period in. I'm sort of feeling guilty. I'm telling myself I should get back to work. I'm not fully present when it comes to relaxing and recovery. So I want to get more present when it comes to sort of, I guess, um, be more present with the enjoyments of life. Lesson 241. I have a problem with wanting to be liked, wanting to understand why someone who doesn't deserve my attention doesn't like me. Rather than beating myself up for this stupidity of putting people with issues on a pedestal, I just need to embrace this flaw slash strength of mine. And I think that's the best way to grow it. Grow from it and go through it. Like I know I like to be liked. I know for some reason I like to be liked by people who really aren't that cool. And I enjoy changing their opinions and making them like me. And I should embrace this flaw I have, see it, clock it, understand it, and I guess go back to just focusing on giving or really, yeah, making the people who like me, people who deserve to be liked, um, like focus on them, I guess. Hey Siri, turn on office lights. Hey Siri, turn off fish tank light. Lesson 242. I watched an episode of How I Met Your Mother, and it reignited a longness and craving for a daily group of friends. It's been like I guess a week or two since I watched that episode, and that craving has gone. But at that time, I was like, wow, I'm really freaking craving a group of friends. I'm craving a soulmate. I'm craving for love. And I guess that's why these TV shows are so good. It makes me wonder, like, are these TV shows even portraying things that are real? Like, I've been around the block, I've been to many different countries, I've met a lot of people, but I don't think the whole Friends, the whole How I Met Your mother circle is actually real. Like, where would you see a group of friends? But now I'm thinking, okay, I've seen some high school friends that till this day, 8 years, 9 years later, they're still playing League of Legends together on Discord. So I guess that makes sense. But maybe it's just like a guy and girl relationship thing where like, three guys, three girls, and a group of friends. Um, I haven't seen that. Three guys, three girls, a group of friends for like 8 years, live together, hang out every day. Like, I don't think that's real. So media has just sort of sold us this sort of fairy tale that isn't based on reality. And people watch it expecting that that is achievable, obtainable. Lesson 243. The hard thing about being present is that there'll be times of being present is tough, hard, and painful. But you got to feel it and take it in. The best way through it is to go through it. Yeah. Being present doesn't also doesn't mean enjoy the present moment, but it also means feel the tough present moment. Really feeling it, really like me focusing on my body being exhausted, my body being sick, really feeling, not ignoring it as I did half an hour ago where I was just scrolling through YouTube, but really just feel the pain my body's gone through versus try to numb it and ignore that feeling by watching some interesting content. Lesson 244. Who said this? I think this was Matthew McConaughey. The joke of Hollywood is to don't take anything personal. If someone ignores you and then they now call you because you're successful, don't even bring up the fact, hey, like, why didn't you pick up my calls 2 years ago when I wasn't successful? Don't take anything personal. It's a really good advice. Like, if an enemy offers me an opportunity, I probably take it and not let sort of old, spiteful resentment ruin that opportunity. Lesson 245. People can feel the increased vibrations from responses that come from a place of having surplus headspace. And people are attracted to these replies. Like if I go through and clear all my messages now in a state of exhaustion, even though it's just messages, they can probably sense it. Whereas if I wait to recover, say tomorrow or the day after, and I get back to everyone with excess of positive energy, they're going to sense it. So I guess only get back to people when you're sort of on top of things and in a good place. And when you're not, don't reply to those messages straight away. Lesson 246. I'm not intimidated by the multimillionaire version of Andy. I'm intimidated by the version of Andy that had the confidence to put his dream aside and help his dad out. On my dad's dream, not caring about what others thought about him as he dropped out of university to help his dad out or cause that rift with his mum. Like that's the version of Andy that I'm like, wow, like that's a that's the one I should be competing against. The version of me that's a multimillionaire right now and sort of took the easy path, kept taking two, three steps forward, didn't really take any steps back, didn't take any two steps back, 10 steps forward, 5 steps back, 15 steps forward, which I feel like I'm currently doing now, versus the version of me that took 100 steps back to give up on his dream to help his dad out on his business. So similar to Gary Vee, that's a version of Andy that I'm like, whoa, he's someone that I admire. Lesson 247. When you do entrepreneurship slash business part-time, I have a lot of friends that do it part-time. They have a full-time job and they're doing it on the side. The downs last twice as long, and the ups last half as long. Let me try to rephrase that. When you do entrepreneurship slash business part-time, the downs last twice as long, the ups last half as long. And that's because when things are down, you have literally less time to figure it out and pull yourself out of this dip. When things are up, you have also less time to really make use of this up period and really milk it. So I guess when my mum says, hey, you should get a job and do this on the side, that's going to be the consequences of putting my business to the side and doing it part-time. Lesson 248. By going into solitude, I don't even know what the current trend for fashion or hairstyle is. I'm now just sort of doing what I think looks good, and I'm being subconsciously nudged into my own unique style and preference. By going through this period of solitude, I'm not going to the city much. I'm not seeing what other people are wearing. So I dress in a way, or I dress how I think like would look good. Yeah. So that's another pro of sort of going through periods of solitude. Lesson 249, emergent philosophy. This is something I read in this AI book that I've been reading over the last 2 weeks. And it basically says, hey, I shouldn't be optimizing for what leads to better sleep. Like if I should use blue light blocking glasses, if I should eat earlier, but I should focus on what leads to more working hours the next day. Because if I optimize for what will allow me to work more the next day, this will lead me to naturally just get better sleep. So another example, rather than focusing on getting more closes or getting more sales booking, focus on how I could get more touch points. Or even back, how do I hire more appointment setters? Or even further back, how do I create a training program that can build appointment setters with ease? And in doing so, that's going to lead me to naturally the result of me getting more sales calls and bookings is naturally going to emerge. So the emergent philosophy is something has been a big light bulb as of recent, where I'm now shifting all my goals towards things that would naturally, like for example, let's say if my goal was to, right now I'm dating Kylie Jenner. In order to date Kylie Jenner, I'd need a certain physique, a certain air of confidence. I'd need to be able to have money, have the resources to travel worldwide, have a strong remote business, not stress about my business. Like if I'm hanging out with Kylie Jenner, she doesn't want to hear about how I'm bleeding out. Like I'd need to gain a level of presenceness and sort of nonchalantness and sort of have this sort of tuneness of being tuned with life. I need to also have that that discipline where I'm not really chasing anyone or anything. Because for someone like Kylie Jenner, that's very unattractive. Someone that just wants money, wants girls, wants nice cars. So by setting that as a goal, let's say right now, my goal is I want to date Kylie Jenner. Money, confidence, health, sleep, business, friendships, network, all these would naturally emerge because they have to emerge in order to hit that goal. So that is emergent philosophy, and that's something I've been thinking a lot about. So yeah, that's another week of lessons. I'm glad today I was able to just fire through a bunch of them. Um, and yeah, I'll see you guys next week. Peace.